Johnson was charged with assaulting a female ER doctor at St. Barnabas Hospital in 2022.
New York City is evicting 3,500 migrant families from the shelters where they are currently housed.
They are looking for places to sleep, looking for a future. They're looking for their dignity for themselves and their families.
A horrific attack, and it was all caught on camera. Police ultimately put the surveillance video of that attack.
I've been a nurse 7 years, and the last thing you think about is that someone's going to strike you in the face.
Madman targets female doctors in Bronx. Reports from the Post reveal a disturbing trend in the Bronx, where a man with a lengthy criminal history is allegedly singling out female medical professionals and nurses. Identified as Edward Johnson, 57 years old, this individual has reportedly committed at least 4 attacks over the past 5 years. Johnson is an undocumented immigrant who entered the country more than 10 years ago and is believed to be from the Caribbean. According to sources and records, Johnson has been detained 23 times on suspicion of pistol possession. Johnson is believed to have entered the country illegally. A total of 42 further arrests have been sealed since his arrival in the United States. It has been claimed by the authorities that he did not show up for his supervised release and is currently wandering around. In addition to this, he has a dangerous propensity to attack female medical staff who are attempting to perform treatment on him. It was reported by a source within the New York Police Department that he beats up a nurse or a doctor every time he goes to the hospital. It has been reported that he has documented 4 incidents of this nature at 3 hospitals in the Bronx since the year 2019. Colleen Leahy, a physician who works in the emergency department of St. Barnabas, is one of the people who he continues to victimize. In September of the previous year and in July of 2022, she reported to the authorities that he had attacked her on 2 separate occasions.
Johnson was charged with assaulting a female ER doctor at St. Barnabas Hospital in 2022. In the criminal justice system will allow this to happen again to another healthcare worker, another innocent person.
The out-of-control patient released without bail after his latest arrest.
I've been a nurse 7 years, and the last thing you think about is that someone's going to strike you in the face.
Every day at work, I'm afraid, said Leahy, who is 28 years old and has lost 20 pounds on account of her anxiety of his imminent return. Since the beating in September, she has shed 20 pounds. Her mother displays the same level of fear. I fear that my daughter will follow in the footsteps of Laken Riley, expressed Eileen Leahy, a nursing student in Georgia. Laken Riley was allegedly slayed by an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela 6 months after he was released by the police after being arrested for endangering the welfare of a child in Queens. Johnson was brought into custody on attack of charges in December 2019 after striking a female nurse who was 61 years old and a female doctor who was 45 years old in the chest at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Morris Park. This marked the beginning of the hospital attacks. His most recent arrest took place on January 13 at the Jacobi Medical Center in Pelham Gardens, according to sources within the police department. The incident allegedly occurred when he struck a nurse who was 26 years old in the eye when she was attempting to take his blood pressure. An eye that was swollen and bruised was sustained by the nurse, who will remain unidentified, and Johnson was charged with attack for such an incident. An arrest warrant was issued for him last month after he eluded authorities by disobeying his supervised release. To get an indictment against Johnson, the matter is presently being submitted to a grand jury, according to Patrice O'Shaughnessy, a spokesman for Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark. On July 16, 2022, Johnson is said to have attacked Leahy at St. Barnabas while the emergency room physician, who had only been working for 2 months, was attempting to tend to him. Authorities claim that he hit her in the right eye, seriously injuring it. He was eventually charged with second-degree attack and wounding a healthcare worker despite his refusal to provide his identity to the police. He was incarcerated for 8 months, but it's still unknown how he was released.
She was punched by the same man who also attacked a doctor at another hospital.
Higher officials need to be held accountable for things like this.
The Bronx District Attorney's Office says a warrant has been issued for his arrest.
Citizens, we're part of the society. We give back to the society. We would want to have a little bit more protection.
Johnson was arrested and charged with assault, but just 2 days later in court, he was granted a supervised release.
Leahy claimed that in April 2023, an assistant district attorney employed by Clark gave her a call and informed her that the office would not pursue the matter to trial because it didn't want to hurt Johnson's immigration status and that the 8 months he had been detained was sufficient. O'Shaughnessy maintained, nonetheless, that Johnson's immigrant status had no bearing on the choice. She claimed that only after Leahy decided not to press charges in court did he accept a plea agreement to the lower charge of attempted attack, which carried no extra jail time. She added that Leahy was given a protection order against Johnson, which is still in force. However, authorities claimed that on September 18, 2023, Johnson went back to St. Barnabas and kicked Leahy in the head, while she and a male co-worker attempted to stab him in the arm. Leahy further stated that just hours before at the hospital, he had attacked another female nurse. No one was taken into custody, but 2 days later, according to NYPD sources, Leahy reported the attack to the police, claiming that it had given her headaches. Leahy expressed her frustration, saying it's infuriating that he keeps doing this to healthcare workers, especially women, and that he's let go. Why is he being allowed to attack other people, including other healthcare workers, when they have had him in custody multiple times? U.S. illegal migrants. Tens of thousands of migrants are detained each month for breaking immigration laws, according to federal data. For instance, according to the Associated Press, the number of Border Patrol arrests at the southern border, where the majority of migrant interactions occur, reaching 124,220 in January. From 249,735 in December 2023, the biggest monthly total ever, that is a decrease of more than half.
New York City is evicting 3,500 migrant families from the shelters where they are currently housed.
We call the flood of asylum seekers to New York City the migrant crisis. Yes, it's costing taxpayers billions.
This is a melange of government incompetence and deception and scams and really ugly politics.
6 men have been charged in connection to that brutal attack caught on camera, and the NYPD is still looking for more suspects.
I never saw myself in a position like this ever a day in my life, no.
Expulsions in which migrants are forcibly removed from the country, and apprehensions in which migrants are detained while a judge determines whether or not they are eligible for continuous residency are the 2 categories of encounters that are included in the statistics. According to reports from Customs and Border Protection, more than 2 million Border Patrol agents had interactions with migrants during the fiscal year 2023. A video that can be found on the website of the Department of Homeland Security conveys the following message. Migrants who attempt to enter the United States illegally and without authorization will be arrested and processed, which means that they will be screened and vetted against criminal and other databases. At the moment, the Supreme Court is preventing the passage of a bill that would provide state and local law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas the authority to hold, arrest, and prosecute aliens responsible for state crimes. In its appeal to the court, the Department of Justice stated that the legislation will create chaos in the ability of the federal government to carry out immigration law in the state.
They are looking for places to sleep, looking for a future. They're looking for their dignity for themselves and their families.
The one thing we do know is you have 2,500 children scattered around the country.
Well, now to our series, Migrants in America. Tonight, a closer look at the West African population that's arriving here in New York City.
They had to take that necessary action, and, based on our review, those officers took appropriate action.
In addition, the content of the message exaggerates the potential consequences that could result from phishing violations. Despite the fact that rules vary from state to state, the majority of states have very low fines related to phishing without a license. Migrant integration challenges. Police are looking for several people linked to different crime occurrences that occurred in Times Square as a result of the recent spike in violent attacks and crimes in New York City, including incidents involving migrants. The use of weapons in these attacks has sparked worries about both public safety and the capacity of the city to handle the situation. Critics contend that New York City's lax laws regarding criminal activity and its designation as a sanctuary city have given offenders, notably criminal immigrants, a sense of impunity. It is alleged that these practices have created an atmosphere in which people feel more confident to commit crimes after being freed. The instances demonstrates the difficulties in maintaining a balance between public safety and New York City's sanctuary status, as some individuals have been identified by federal authorities as belonging to global gangs. This case emphasizes how difficult it can be to manage immigrants and asylum seekers in the most of urban crime, with worries about gang-related violence and crime waves spreading.
A horrific attack, and it was all caught on camera. Police ultimately put the surveillance video of that attack.
Federal immigration authorities say 2 of the asylum seekers arrested for attacking New York City police officers recently.
Fox 5 New York's Lizette Nunez live in Times Square this morning with the latest on the charges.
Now there's a fear looming that the men involved with that attack could avoid being brought to justice.
A group of 5 men have been arrested, accused of attacking a group of New York City police officers.
The city's sanctuary policy and management of asylum seekers are being scrutinized. The effects of asylum policy on nearby communities and the efficacy of law enforcement tactics are being discussed in light of these developments. In the middle of the crime wave, New York City is grappling with financial strains made worse by the asylum crisis, including discussions over how to pay for critical services and provide assistance to marginalized groups. The state of affairs raises concerns about the viability of the current policies and highlights the need for all-encompassing solutions that address the welfare of asylum seekers as well as public safety. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.